Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Book Talk. Today, we have with us a senior English language expert who loves language and is fascinated by the power and influence of sentences in our lives. She works as an independent editor and writer of educational material. She tutors senior school students in English language and literature. She has an Executive MBA and is certified as a Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. She is a member of the Chartered Institute of Editing and Proofreading. She has honed her writing and copy editing skills with Dr. Venkataraman Anantharaman of the Art of Copy Editing. Her author journey began from her first book of poetry called Random Everything. She explored many themes there. We are going to talk to her today about her second poetry book called Inner World. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Lalita. Good to see you.
Same here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I would like to start by asking you about your new book, Inner World. You have chosen free verse to express your opinions and feelings. Is there any particular reason to choose it?
I chose free verse mainly because for me, the priority was to be able to express myself. And if I was trying to get into poems, as you know, we generally like to rhyme them. I found that it was kind of restrictive. So I decided that if I write, I will just, write whatever I'm thinking almost in a speaking way. And that's how it came about for free verse. My first poem was exactly that, called The Kingfisher. I was thinking of something and this bird was flying overhead and it got me out of whatever I was thinking of. So I thought I would write that down. And that's exactly how it began. Just writing down thoughts rather than thinking of rhyming them, So that's how I chose free verse, and I find it very free. It releases you from the thing of trying to rhyme.
Right. It gives you a lot of freedom of expression, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It
Right.
gives me a lot more freedom of expression.
Okay. What is to write Inner World, and how did you decide on the theme for the collection?
Actually, my process is just writing poems. It's not necessarily trying to figure out a theme. It's just about expressing what I feel. And I had decided that I would kind of expand the collection that I had in Random Everything. So I took those poems and I added 30 more poems to get a collection of 51. And that was it. Once I decided to do this, I just picked the best ones. I had to go through rounds of editing and all that. But there was no theme as such. But now when I look at the book, with the collection together, I find that what is consistent is me discovering ways to be, ways of existing, ways to deal with life. Those are coming out in poems, just kind of accidentally. It was not a thought that I began with, but now when I look at that collection, this is what I see. Things of how
I
to
see.
get along in life. I call it ways
Oh,
to be. Yeah.
yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
How do your personal experiences and inner thoughts shape the poems in Inner World?
It's all basically inner thoughts and personal experiences. Maybe one or two are about somebody else's experience, but generally it's about me. I also journal. So I write 1 or 2 pages in my journal every day. And this is like an extension of that. The only thing with the poems is the journaling, you sit in the morning or in the evening for about 10-20 minutes and write something. But with the poems, they come at different times and they don't all come together. Maybe just a verse here, a verse there. And I've discovered that if I don't record them immediately, then I forget about them. So whatever I'm doing, if I'm out somewhere, I type it on my phone. If I'm at home, I write it in a book quickly before I forget. Generally, it just starts with a line or two. And that's the way I kind of go about it.
Right. You
I
have
think
always stressed the importance of disciplined writing and journaling, right?
yes, it is something I
Yes.
began during the pandemic in
Mm-hmm.
2020. And I
Okay.
found it very good because one, it was a kind of release from the situation you are in. It was a
Mm-hmm.
difficult time at that time. And I think everybody should express themselves in some form of
Mm-hmm.
art. Otherwise, those emotions stay within you, and I believe they begin to affect the body. So it's better to get
Mm-hmm.
them out if they are not pleasant
Mm-hmm.
emotions. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why, it works in that way, to be able to write and to be able to put things down, so
Mm-hmm.
that they express yourself. Give you a
Mm-hmm.
chance to be yourself and to get something negative out of your system. That's
Right.
that was so I saw a benefit to that, a therapeutic or maybe a medicinal benefit, you could say. Sometimes even
Mm-hmm.
when I didn't want to write in my diary, I would still sit and do it, because
Mm-hmm.
it helps. Yeah.
Right, right. That's nice.
Yeah.
So before I talk about your poems in this poetry collection, I would like to know about the things that you mentioned in your preface, that you went through two different publishing processes
Yes.
of both your books. So can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, so the first book, I saw something online and I entered. They were going to publish about 2021 poems. And
Mhm.
it was a very difficult step for me, because generally I like to think something through for a long time before I jump into it.
Mhm.
But this was on the spur of the moment. I saw this thing on Instagram and I decided. I had 10 poems. I said, I'll write another 11. I had to write 21 poems in 21 days, and I was able to do it. And once I handed those over, I felt kind of lost in the process. I didn't know what was happening next. There were no regular updates. I had to follow up a lot to make sure my book was uploaded, because I couldn't find it on Amazon. Then the payment comes, later, and you can't
Mhm.
see the figures if somebody else, the publisher is handling everything. You can't see how well the book is doing or if it's not doing well. So
Mhm.
I decided this time, when I was doing Inner World, that I would try and see if I could do the process myself. There are people who
Okay.
have gone into self-publishing. So I asked
Mhm.
around, I did some
Mhm.
searches online, and I
Mhm.
decided that, I will invest some time and effort in getting the self-publishing. And I'm
Okay.
very, doing it start to finish by myself. There were certain processes
Oh.
which I
Mhm.
outsourced. Like, I needed somebody else to look at my poems. So the
Mhm.
editing was done by an external editor. And we
Mhm.
worked together to, polish the poems. And
Mhm.
the other decision to make was, do I do the layout of the book myself? And
Mhm.
I'm not a professional, so I knew I could do it, but it was going to take me a lot of time, because I'm
Mhm.
learning to do the layout also. So I
Mhm.
contacted the publisher and told them that this is what I just want you to do the layout and give it to me. And they
Mhm.
were willing to
Mhm.
do that. So these are the two things that I kind of outsourced, and I'm very glad that I
Mhm.
did. Of
Mhm.
course, you have to figure out a payment and make sure you have that money to invest. But
Mhm.
it's an excellent decision to give some part of what you're doing to a professional, because it saves time and they know what they're
Mhm.
doing. And
Mhm.
it removes that frustration, because I would be learning
Mhm.
to lay out from scratch and it would take me a very long
Mhm.
time. So
Right.
that's what I did in terms of the publishing process. I had to upload it myself, Amazon,
Mhm.
what they call Amazon KDP,
Mhm.
which means the book, if I upload it on Amazon KDP, I can upload an ebook and I can upload a book which will be physically printed. So
Okay.
Amazon KDP, unfortunately, does not allow you to sell the book in India, whereas abroad,
Mhm.
people can order from Amazon and then KDP does the job of printing and sending it to them. But for
Okay.
India, I had to separately register as a seller on Amazon, get my
Mhm.
stock of books, and then as orders came in, I would fulfill them. So there is work, but I am involved in the process. I know my numbers. I know when I need to put in effort and when it's slowing down and all that. So that's why I decided to do it online. It requires you to change your schedule, make time every day to market the book, to check your figures once or twice a month. And but when they send you a figure, you're very clear on how they've calculated that amount. And you know that the money is what is exactly coming to you. So that was the benefit. And another benefit was it allows me to print, the e-book goes internationally, worldwide. That was the problem I had with the first book. It was not international. It was only available in India. So I have sold a few books internationally also. So a few copies of Inner World now. So I'm very happy with that. It was basically to feel a sense of control. That's why I did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You must have learned so much during this process, and I think you have empowered yourself for publishing now.
Definitely empowered myself. I'm good at learning things. So I like to learn new things, but I had to keep a balance between what I do and what I get somebody else to do. That was a realization. But I'm glad I learned the process. Now, I can answer questions for somebody else who's going into the process. I can advise them. They can learn through my mistakes, and I can improve on my own mistakes. So that's why I'm very glad that I did this. And now, though there's a first-time struggle, the advantage is now I will not make those mistakes again when I go into publish another book. So that is a big advantage.
Oh, great. That's nice to know.
Yeah.
In the book, you have inserted suitable illustrations. So did you make them yourselves?
Yes. I thought, since I also paint as a matter of expression, I've started painting and sketching along with journaling and writing poems and all. So I've been doing it for 2 years, so I have sketches. I managed to find paintings and sketches that matched with my poems. And I've chosen a reasonable number. It's not like one poem. The number of poems are more than the number of sketches, but I was able to put them, organize them in a good way and find the right ones. Just one sketch was, I had to do it immediately because I felt the one that I'd submitted was not right. So I changed one sketch. The rest of it, so that one was made particularly for the book. The others were just what was already done. I picked the best ones.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you published it yourself and you illustrated it yourself. That's nice.
Yeah.
Now, having talked about the publishing and writing process, I would like to mention a few poems and talk to you about it. Like in the poem, I Go Back to My Novels. I think every person who loves books will be able to relate to it, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I felt. There are some books that I had decided, once in 10 years, I'm going to go back and read this book again. And I'm sure other other readers have also experienced this. As you age and you go back to read the book, you have more experiences, and you also realize, oh, I don't remember this part of the book. Earlier, it did not make much of an impression on me. It also submerges you. A book takes you into that world. You are, you're in that place. And that's exactly what I've written about. Like I mentioned this place, walking through the woods of Pemberley. There's a book called I Climbed In. There's a poem called I Climbed In, which is basically a feeling of getting into the atmosphere that the book creates. So I mentioned it that Pemberley is a place in Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. And the way she's written it, I feel that, I want to be at Pemberley, though it's a fictitious place. You want to be there and it's got a lot of gardens and woods and all that, and you actually feel you're in it. So that's the experience that books bring. And I think that's why we want to go back to them. We want to live in that world.
Absolutely. Then in the poem, if the birds paid attention to borders, you have spoken about flamingos. So is there any other meaning attached to it, or what do you want to convey? I wanted to ask you about it.
Yeah, so flamingos come at certain times of the year to Mumbai, to
Mm,
Powai Lake, and in
mm,
all that dust and grime and people running everywhere, people stop to look at the flamingos. It is
mm,
lovely, the lake becomes pink with all these birds. And I think it helps you calm down,
mm,
and it also helps you uh, get into another space. You feel more
mm,
relaxed. But I always thought about these birds are not from India. So they travel and they come into. Imagine if we had at the borders we stopped birds, we would not be able to experience flamingos and the
mm.
feeling that they give us. We would not
Correct.
have that in our lives. So
Mm,
if there is another meaning, it could also be, imagine if there were no borders, if we were able to
mm,
freely travel from country to country, our
mm.
experiences would be so different if countries
Definitely.
didn't have borders and we were able to travel. So that's another thing. Like if we enjoy the birds, we would also enjoy people, and we would also
Mm,
learn about other places, and they would learn about us. So that's what when countries have borders, these are the restrictions, and I'm grateful that birds don't care about borders, so we can
mm.
experience a lot more.
Right. I read this poem, Our Minds Are Not Our Friends, and
Yeah.
I found it is very deep and it touches a very important aspect. So please tell us more.
Um, in this process of, I am focused more and more, I'm realizing that mental health plays a lot
Hmm.
of part in our lives. And
Hmm.
it's increasing. And if you are not, it's whether people are working late at their jobs, whether you have a job that you don't enjoy, traffic and all those kind of things affect us. Through the
Hmm.
pandemic, we also realized a lot. We was in our homes and there was a lot to worry about. And
Hmm.
our minds definitely affect our bodies. That's why I find expression is also an important part of it, that if you're worried, you should be able to get it out. Otherwise, it'll
Hmm.
start, literally eating at you. It is
Very-
something that affects you. So
Hmm.
that was what I thought of, that, our minds are not entirely reliable, because
Hmm.
we store all our bad, there are good thoughts, but we store things that have gone wrong a lot. And we
Hmm.
spend more time thinking about what went wrong in our lives or what could go wrong.
Hmm.
And that is not always a good place to be in, or to make decisions, or to move. It keeps you hesitating. It keeps you from not trying new things.
Hmm.
So we generally tend to remember things that have not gone well rather than things
Hmm.
that have gone well. And
Hmm.
we fail to understand that whatever we are thinking about is in the future. And maybe to a certain
Hmm.
extent, once we take a step, things may get
Hmm.
easier, but it's a fear that holds us back, or conditioning. So that's
Hmm.
why I mean, but our minds are not our friends. We think that to solve a problem, we have to think about it a lot. But sometimes
Hmm.
action helps to solve a problem more than just thinking about it. And that's why we should not entirely make a decision based on our minds. We should be able to
Hmm.
externalize it, talk to other people. And
Hmm.
through my process of writing books and now uploading it, one thing has come clear is, be a little bolder. Take a step that you may have not taken earlier. Solve a problem
Hmm.
in a way that you may not have solved it earlier. Like I told
Hmm.
you, I like to think about things a lot before I jump into it. But
Okay.
with this thing with KDP and uploading and all that, sometimes you
Hmm.
have to take a chance. You may not know
Huh.
100% whether you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, but
Correct.
that, be a little bold. If I learned
Hmm.
something, it is, I keep telling myself, be a little bolder in doing something. So that's what I
Huh.
mean by, your mind shouldn't hold you back. Listen
Oh,
to it, but get
that's
other
uh,
opinions. Yeah.
Okay. That's a really nice thought. I liked it. That poem stayed with me.
Yeah, there are other people also who mentioned that.
Right.
Yeah.
And your poems have abundant references of nature, animals, trees, and such things, And despite you staying in Mumbai, so how come?
Mumbai does have greenery, it not as much as we want, but it does have greenery. And I think more and more
Mhm.
people realize the value of that greenery. Some people
Mhm.
still don't, but there are people who realize the value. It's less, and they realize the value. So it's not only the greenery and the flowers and the trees, it's
Mhm.
about animals, our interaction with them. I've also
Mhm.
written about here when I stay in Goa, we get peacocks and monkeys that come in at
Oh,
certain
okay.
times of the day. And I made a connection with them. This has happened in only the last 5 or 6 years. So I've never
Mhm.
seen them here in my hometown
Mhm.
before. And the reason
Mhm.
it's happening, it probably is because they are losing their forests, and they're not able to
Mhm.
survive, or they're not able to feed. They don't have a place where they can get their food. So they're wandering
Mhm.
in strange places, which is a risk for them also. So this thing of nature, more and more, I realize that we actually come from nature. That is why we like it.
Mhm.
That is why we are
Mhm.
drawn to it. And we will go
Right.
back to it when we die. So
Mhm.
it is also healing. Whenever we
Mhm.
see something, if it's a dog or an animal or a mountain or a beach, it always, there are changes in us. uh,
Mhm.
I used to always wonder, people like to be near water. If you're going out of town, okay, you want to go and see a river, or you want to go to, the
Mhm.
Himalayas or something like that. So we don't
Mhm.
realize it, but we are very connected to nature because we are part of it. And we will go
Mhm.
back to it when we die. So the
Mhm.
more we uh, get glimpses of it, even if we are in Mumbai. Like if I'm passing a garden or a plant, I just put my hand out and touch it. you know it is just a real kind of thing. So we should do more of
Mhm.
that. Look up at the moon. We hardly look
Mhm.
up at the moon. I do more of that here where I'm in
That's true.
Goa. So that's a
Okay.
very important thing, to
Mhm.
be aligned with nature. Make sure you have a part of it in your lives all the time.
Mhm.
Just a
Okay.
realization that we are just dust, and that's
Part
where
of,
yeah.
yeah, part of the nature, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, what role does poetry play in your life?
Now I think it plays a lot more than it did before. I
Mhm.
remember poems I did in school, like all of us do. But when I started writing them, then I started looking up more poets, and I've discovered
Mhm.
more poets. I
Okay.
even, when I tutor students in those textbooks, you find new poems that I didn't do when I was in school. So it's always very interesting to me now. And with Instagram
Okay.
and all, I follow a lot more accounts that tell us, share poems and all. So
Mhm.
it plays a bigger part than it did before, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's nice.
yeah.
Yes. So, what's next for you? Do you have plans for another poetry collection or different kind of writing project?
Yes. This time, the next time I do a poetry collection, it's going to be some time. Here, I wanted to, this one, Inner World, has come 2 years after Random Everything, because I didn't plan to do it, but since I was writing poems, and like I said, I wanted to be more in control of the process, I included the poems of Inner World here and added more. So from 21 poems, it's now 51 poems in Inner World. I will
Okay.
do another book of poems because my process of writing poems is continuous. So
Hmm.
it happens off and on. Every 2 or 3 days, I write 1 or 2 lines of something. It's not a planned process. So, but now I will
Mhm.
look for a longer, a bigger collection. I will wait
Mhm.
some more time to be inspired by poems and to put them
Okay.
together. But I
Mhm.
have already, since I've learned the process now of self-publishing, I'm going to do books related to, what my core work is in terms of educational books. So those books, I have a couple of ideas and I've already started working on that.
Wow,
I'm
that's
looking
nice.
forward to that. Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. So poetry, educational books, and maybe much more later on as you go
Yeah,
on this path. Yeah.
I'm thinking of maybe children's literature, something like that, maybe a book of essays, something like that. So then
Great.
the ideas are coming now for what to do, what other types of books to do.
Correct.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
So can you recite a poem for us from your new poetry collection?
Yeah, so I'll recite one which I think you had mentioned, which
Yes.
was the one about
Uh,
nature. I'm surprised that, different people have different likes. I mean, I'm surprised at the range of everybody mentioned some poem that I thought was okay, but you never know how it touches people.
mhm.
So this one is called We Are Nature.
Hmm.
Landscaping is manufactured, grass is natural, luxury is manufactured, abundance is natural. Elections are manufactured, choice is natural, laws are manufactured, conscience is natural. Society is manufactured, community is natural, competition is manufactured, excellence is natural. We are grass, abundance, choice, conscience, liberty, community, excellence. We are nature, but what do we choose to be?
That's fantastic. I
Yeah.
love this poem. Thank you for
Thank
reciting.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
Yes, because the choices we are making are really, that we should not be making.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, great. That was a fantastic discussion with you, Michelle, about your new poetry collection. And I wish you all the best, all
Thank you.
success for your
Thank
poem collection and for all your future projects too, that we will be hearing from you soon.
Yeah. Thank you, Lalita. I'm very happy to have spoken to you on my book.
Thank you so much for joining. Have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in conversation with Michelle. Her new poem collection is beautiful, and I think you must read the poems. I have given the link to buy the book in the description box. Please have a look. It has a Kindle version and a paperback version also. Thank you again. You have a good day, and bye bye.